Hey there, Parker Reed here, and welcome to PR Media, your home for everything movies and music through my eyes. And today we have a review of every Star Wars movie in 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. Pretty much everybody on Earth is familiar with Star Wars. It's been around since 1977. We've had 11 feature films, and the last of them hit 4K in 2020, and that came before I started my channel, so I want to go through all 11 of them and go through them one by one to tell you if I recommend them or not, and just kind of say the positives and negatives of each one. So every release on this list is at 2160p in 4K and widescreen, and I would say that the picture quality between them is fairly consistent. Sure, some look better than others as some are filmed on film and some are on digital and some are a mix of the two, so it's here and there and everywhere. So we'll go through them one by one to tell you about those different transfers, but none of these movies look horrible in 4K. They're all passable as far as visuals go, so don't get deterred by that. There is an overall sense of quality here. And thankfully on each of these releases for audio, we have a Dolby Atmos track. Dolby Atmos is pretty much the highest quality audio you can get nowadays in 4K with the home theater setup. And with having some of the best soundtrack work and some of the best music in all of movie and film, having Dolby Atmos here is a definite plus and a definite positive aspect of each of these 11 releases. So for audio for all of them, they're all pretty solid. If you would love a digital download of all 11 of these movies in 4K Ultra HD, all you need to do is subscribe to my channel PR Media and leave a comment below of why you should get the code. Make sure you subscribe and leave a comment below about why you should be the one to receive all 11 download codes, and I will contact you personally if you are the winner and give you all 11 of those codes. So make sure to subscribe and leave a comment below. So let's start off with everybody's favorite movie. We've got 1999's Star Wars Episode 1 of Phantom Menace, and I think this might be my least favorite visually of all of these different movies. Sure, it had the most practical effects of all the prequels, but the CGI in these movies is very dated. It does not look great. Some of it's pretty cringeworthy. It looked great for the time, but nowadays it is not looking so hot. But at the same time, the music on here is great. The song Duel of the Fates, composed by John Williams, is one of my favorite in all of Star Wars. And overall, this movie might just be the worst in the Star Wars franchise. The storyline is not very good, so I would not really recommend you pick this up on 4K. Get a Blu-ray copy, you'll be just fine. Next up, we have every sand lover's dream. We have Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and this looks a little bit better than Phantom Menace as far as 4K quality goes. Sure, there's a lot of cringeworthy CGI still apparent here, but it's not nearly as bad. But this movie is just as bad, if maybe just a tad bit better for some of the action towards the end. But Attack of the Clones, not a great movie, not really one I'd recommend paying 25 or 30 bucks for, no matter how good it looks or how good it sounds. This movie is not the greatest in the Star Wars franchise, and I'd recommend just getting a Blu-ray copy, but if you love Star Wars, I'm sure you already own it anyway. The third installment in the Star Wars franchise might just be my favorite one. It's Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And the visuals in here look fantastic. The CGI is noticeably better. This came out back in 2005, so the technology was getting better, admittingly. And this is my favorite soundtrack in all of Star Wars, and it's just blaring, it's blasting, it's epic as hell, and I really enjoy Revenge of the Sith on 4K, so I would definitely recommend you pick this up because it's one of the best in the franchise in my opinion. It is one of the best looking in the franchise as far as 4K quality goes, and one of the best sounding as far as its Dolby Atmos track goes. So pick up Revenge of the Sith on 4K Ultra HD, highly recommend it. And now we're getting into the original trilogy, and I think the best looking of the original three movies is the original 1977 film Star Wars, or as we now controversially call it, Star Wars A New Hope. This was filmed on film. It's all practical effects, and this really shows you just how good Star Wars 1977 can still look. It looks pretty pristine. Sure, there are some soft shots in it just because that's the nature of the source, and the CGI that George Lucas added in the 2000s and 90s, it does not look good. It looks very discernible in this movie. Shame on you, George, for doing that. Just leave it alone. Give us an unaltered 1977 mix in 4K, but I would recommend this title. It's going down in price as time goes on, and it's the best this movie's ever looked, and it's the best it's ever sounded, and it's pretty much the best presentation you're going to get as far as Star Wars A New Hope goes nowadays. And without a doubt, the best movie in all of Star Wars, in my opinion, is Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. This transfer looks phenomenal. This movie is phenomenal. The soundtrack is phenomenal. This is almost a perfect movie, if not a perfect movie. And I'm not even ashamed to say I've seen it 3 times in the theater already this year because it's been re-released a bunch of times. Make sure you buy this. If you're a movie lover, if you're a film lover, if you're just a person with blood and bone and marrow, make sure you buy this on 4K. It deserves your purchase. And then the least impressive of all all the original trilogy is, of course, Return of the Jedi, those damn Ewoks, and the kind of unceremonious end. I don't love this movie. I think it gets way too much credit for what's here. The opening sequence is pretty pointless to me, and I just don't love this movie. I don't love the wrap-up, but it does look good in 4K. It was filmed in the early 80s, so of course everything's practical, everything's on film. There is a decent amount of film grain, but the Dolby Atmos track and the 4K transfer make up for any inaccuracies that might be in the source. Would I recommend you buy this? Maybe at sales price, just because of the quality of the film. I don't love this movie. A lot of people do. I just don't, so cautiously recommend. And now we're getting into the controversial stuff. We've got the sequels and then the kind of in-betweener movies. But one of the best looking as far as the newer movies go is Star Wars The Force Awakens. It's basically a remake of A New Hope. But this movie looks good and it's a great return for Star Wars. I still appreciate this movie. I don't return to it a lot just because it is the inferior one as compared to the original 1977 version. But this looks great, digitally shot, and the practical effects in here look good. There's no complaints here really about the 4K transfer or the audio or anything. It's just a movie I just don't think is that memorable. What's the best Disney Star Wars movie? I hold firm and say Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This is a prequel. For those who don't say it's a prequel, it is pretty much a prequel. It takes place before the 1977 Star Wars, pretty much leading right up to it. It really harkens back to the mood of the original trilogy, and I appreciate that about it, but add in some great special effects and CGI, and this film is one I would definitely recommend. Check out Rogue One if you haven't. Sure, it's not going to blow the roof off anywhere. It's not a whole new story. You basically get the gist of it in the opening crawl of Star Wars A New Hope, but it was a fun time in the theater. Next up, we have No. Second to last here, we have the very controversial Solo, the Star Wars story. This is one I enjoyed a lot. It was much better than I thought it was going to be. Sure, it's basically just a remember that movie. It's a member berry movies. It's pretty much just, hey, want to know how Han Solo got his jacket? Want to know how he got his blaster? Want to know the ladies he was macking up on before he got with Princess Leia? That's all this movie is, and that's pretty much all it was advertised as. Don't love it, don't hate it. It's just kind of meh. I throw it in my Star Wars marathon anytime a new movie comes out, but you can skip this one. Last up on this 4K review of the entire Star Wars franchise, we have Star Wars Episode 9. The Rise of Skywalker, and I do not love this movie by any stretch of the word. And may I just say that this standard edition slipcover, it kind of sucks. Sure, the artwork on here is decent, but I like the poster art much more. And the back just says Kylo Ren and it has no information. Take off the slipcover, and it looks a lot better. I mean, I like this cover a lot better, and that's more a standard thing. I would have preferred to have that. And overall, I would have preferred to have a better movie overall because this one is schlock as hell. It is admittedly more fun than The Last Jedi, but a raisin frying on the sidewalk is a better sight to see than The Last Jedi. I'd recommend you pick this up if you're a Star Wars fan, you have all the other movies. But if you're not a Star Wars fan, you will not get much enjoyment out of this movie. And I'd recommend not buying the standard edition slipcover because it doesn't look nearly as cool as the other ones. And it was kind of a ho-hum entry in the Star Wars franchise. So there you have it, a review of all 11 Star Wars movies on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. Do you own any of these? Do you plan to pick any of these up? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what you saw here, you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or like, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. My name is Parker Reed. You've been watching PR Media. Keep supporting physical media, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.